Hello, I'm Christopher Badger.
And I'm Charles Morgan.
We're barristers at Six Pump Court and would like to welcome you to the latest Environment Law News podcast, brought to you in association with LexisNexis. In this podcast, we look at Shell being taken to court by Friends of the Earth, the government's progress against the 25-year Environment Plan, and the potential prosecution of up to 1,130 climate protesters. First, we look at Shell being taken to court by Friends of the Earth for its alleged role in causing climate change. On the 5th of April of this year, a summons was delivered to Shell's headquarters in the Netherlands following the commencement of action in the Court of Appeal in The Hague by Friends of the Earth Netherlands on behalf of more than 30,000 people from 70 countries.
Sounds intriguing. Why would a multinational oil major, thought by some to be responsible for 1.8% of all carbon dioxide emitted by human activity, be of interest to Friends of the Earth?
Accompanying the summons was a 236-page complaint that argues Shell's early knowledge of climate change and its role in causing it. Friends of the Earth alleges that Shell is breaching its duty of care and threatening Articles 2 and 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights by knowingly undermining the prospect of global temperatures being kept below 1.5 degrees C, the threshold identified in the 2018 Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report.
So effectively, that Shell's business model poses a threat to the climate goals of the Paris Agreement.
Exactly. The allegation is that Shell is endangering human rights and lives, therefore acting unlawfully.
That's unlikely to be resolved anytime soon. Why the Dutch court?
Well, Friends of the Earth argue that the Court of Appeal has jurisdiction to hear the case, as Shell's climate change policy is set by its headquarters in The Hague. Under Dutch law, the summons argues that Shell is not allowed to cause a major danger to others when measures can be taken to prevent that danger from occurring. This is referred to as unlawful endangerment under Article 6(1)(2) of the Dutch Civil Code.
Sounds like the Agenda case all over again.
There are strong parallels. The action is being spearheaded by the same lawyer who was successful in the Dutch Agenda case, and it appears to largely rely on the same principles of the Dutch Civil Code. In that previous case, the Dutch state was found guilty of endangering Dutch citizens because it was taking inadequate action to reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the Netherlands. The Dutch state's share in global emissions was 0.5%, which is a much lower figure than that given by Friends of the Earth for Shell's share of global carbon dioxide emissions.
Will Friends of the Earth get home?
Well, unlawful endangerment is established on the basis of a number of criteria. The danger itself must be significant enough, and in addition, Shell must be sufficiently aware of the problem, and there must be alternative pathways available for Shell.
And what remedy is being sought?
Well, if Friends of the Earth is successful, that Shell must reduce its carbon dioxide emissions by 45% by 2030 compared to 2010 levels, and to zero by 2050.
But aren't Shell already trying to reduce their emissions?
Well, the argument is that too little is being done by the corporate giant. By contrast, Shell's latest annual reports state that it expects to lower its carbon emissions by 3% by 2021. Evidently, the parties are some way apart on the numbers. Second, we turn our eyes to the government's progress against the 25-year Environment Plan.
In January 2018, the government published its 25-year Environment Plan. There's no point in having one of those unless you check from time to time to see how it's doing. So, as promised, the government has now published a 25-year Environment Plan progress report, reporting on the first 15 months.
The report states that of the 40 priority actions expected to make the most significant contribution to the 10 goals of the plan, 4 have already been delivered, namely a clean air strategy, the appointment of a national tree champion in Sir William Worsley, publication of a new resource and waste strategy, and establishment of the Council for Sustainable Business.
None of these actions per se has any practical effect at all on the environment, but they all either mandate or enable practical action to be taken. So, a step on the way, and the clean air strategy for one is already producing some tangible results.
The report also states that 4 actions are subject to minor delays, namely, putting in place a more sustainable drainage system, improving soil health and restoring and protecting our peatlands, minimising the risk of chemical contamination in our water, and working with delivery bodies to build on area integrated plans to develop local natural capital plans. And the report goes on to say that a further 32 are on track for timely delivery.
The plan itself doesn't actually contain any obviously discernible list of 40 priority actions. It does contain various bullet points headed "Action we will take," include, but there are 168 of those. The report nevertheless contains a Table 1, Status for Priority Actions, which does indeed contain 4 items listed as completed 2018-2019, and 4 further items said to be in progress, minor delay. But mysteriously, Table 1 contains only 29 other items, making a total of 37, not 40. What other 3 priority actions exist? What progress has in fact been made with them? And where have they gone? Students of environmental law with post-exam time on their hands may care to research the point, in return for the promise of a reward for the first demonstrably correct answer.
As the report acknowledges, at the heart of the achievement of the plan is the Environment Bill, said to provide stronger environmental governance. The substance, or perceived lack thereof, of the bill is already under strong critical scrutiny. It is in turn the product of Brexit, controversial scrutiny of which will not have escaped anyone.
It's thus plain that the plan is at something of a crossroads at an early point in its 25-year journey. And the progress report might even be overstating the apparent progress. Sir William Worsley's position is reported as expiring next month, having been for 1 year with no budget and no pay. But he has apparently prepared a strategy which will be out for consultation in the autumn.
Our final story concerns the potential prosecution of up to 1,130 climate protesters.
Extinction Rebellion is back in the news.
The group responsible for 11 days of protests, a boat bolted to the ground in Oxford Circus, 2 disabled trucks with protesters either on top or glued to them, and a transatlantic flight by Emma Thompson.
Precisely. One of the unusual features of the London protest in April by Extinction Rebellion was the low number of people charged. Only about 70 or so of the 1,130 who were arrested. We now have the answer. The police have been waiting their time.
They're not going to charge them, surely.
Everyone arrested has been under investigation, and the Deputy Assistant Commissioner, Lawrence Taylor, is now quoted as saying, "It is our anticipation that we are putting all of those arrested to the Crown Prosecution Service."
Bonkers. It will drown the court system.
Assuming the CPS does decide to commit its limited resources to this, the prosecutions will test the courts. There is a right to protest in a peaceful way, even if it causes some obstruction. Cases will be by no means open and shut.
Plus, they had a point.
Well, Parliament did declare a climate emergency on the 1st of May.
Well, might there be an alternative agenda behind the statement?
The Met Police are also quoted as saying they want to review the public order legislation to discourage a similar style of protest. Potentially, they see the prospect of mass prosecutions as a means of achieving that end.
Thank you for tuning in for this Environment Law News podcast. For more information on any of these stories, or if you would like to discuss any of the topics raised in more detail, please contact Six Pump Court on 0207 797 8400, asking for either Christopher Badger or Charles Morgan, or contact our colleagues at LexisNexis in the PSL Environment team.